Welcome to Getting to Know You, that is, residents and staff at Stonebridge. Welcome to people who are new to Stonebridge, and welcome to those who have seen us before, because this is our second season. And I'm sitting here with Jeff Tiener, who everyone knows as the president of the Resident Association, and with Robin Doherty, who everybody knows as the live well for us, that is, I don't know about you, but person that directs all the activities that we have here at Stonebridge. And we'd like to celebrate a little bit the fact that there is a second season of Getting to Know You. And it's very nice that we can do this with Robin, because Robin will be leaving us and we want to pay tribute to her. And without her, we wouldn't be able to do this, just like a lot of things around here. So I'm going to turn to Jeff, because Jeff is the real originator of Getting to Know You. So why don't you sort of take us back a little bit more than a year and what you were thinking, Jeff?
I would be happy to do that, Ingrid. The issue arose during the COVID-19 shutdown, which I guess was March of 2020, if I remember correctly. And we realized that communication was difficult with residents. We were not permitted to interact. We didn't have any of our usual activities and events. So it was very difficult to communicate with residents, and we were all feeling quite isolated. So in looking for things to do, and everything that was done with and through Robin, and sometimes at her suggestion or instigation very often, this was one thing that we thought about as a way to communicate with the residents, having this kind of a forum.
Right. So you enlisted me, so that there was a person who had a little experience with TV and hosting stuff from my Princeton television experience. But then we didn't have the third ingredient. We didn't know how to film it or record it. So I'll let you go the next step, what Robin did.
We were very technologically inept. The decision to go to you was a pretty obvious one. I knew enough about the residents and you to know that you had experience with that, so that seemed easy. And once you were willing, then the question became more a technical question, and there Robin came to mind and she became our savior in a way that was pretty crude as you look back on it now and compare it to today.
Right.
Robin at that point in time used her iPhone to do the recording and the both the audio and the visual components of this.
And we had a lot of complaints about the audio too.
Correctly so. The sound was not good coming from an iPhone at this distance with different people. And of course we sometimes wanted it outside because it was a nicer setting. Yeah. But there were also airplanes and lawnmowers and things like that made it a greater challenge. Right. And we learned over time how to do it. Right. Also, I have to mention the difficulties, the challenge or time consumption. Robin had to spend getting it up from her phone. She had to transfer it to
her iPad,
to her personal iPad, which she did at home, and then she put it up on YouTube. So it took a great deal of time and effort to do it. Responding to the complaints, we decided that we had to do something, and we got microphones. I think was the first technical innovation, and that helped a good deal. And then we realized that if we used an iPad, we could cut out the iPhone portion of things and cut Robin's time considerably. So Robin got approval for Stonebridge to purchase
an iPad for Stonebridge purposes, right? So there was actual support from Stonebridge itself.
Yes. They've been supportive of that because it's in their interest too.
I think we should stop now and say, Robin, thank you. Do you remember those days with pleasure? But then you had to do the editing too.
It was a lot of fun in the beginning, but I was really happy when you found Jock. Yeah, somebody who actually knew what they were doing.
Right. So here we are being recorded by Jock, and also he's really good at editing and adding bells and whistles, adding music, and so that's where we are now. I'm sure people would like us maybe to improve, and we'd be glad to have suggestions. But then, Robin, you did another thing. We were only posting this on 1979. That was as much as we could think would work. But you had the idea of putting it up on YouTube.
Yeah, we did, and that was a learning experience. It was the first time I had ever created a YouTube channel, but we did it. And I remember the first one, you know, they were shorter, and we tried to upload a longer one, and I just panicked because you had to have a premium account, and it was a learning experience. But we got there, and I think there's something like 50 of
I think
videos
we did about
up there.
40, didn't we?
Yeah, and then we had residence meetings
Yeah.
and town halls and things that we put up there, and messages from management. So
Now the world knows about it.
the world does know about it, right?
Yeah.
And we've gotten, you know, many thousands of hits
Right.
on the YouTube channel. So it's been a great thing.
Yeah, so I'd like to sort of switch back to you, Jeff, for a minute, just because whenever we do one of these, we always say to the person, well, we want to get to know you, whoever we're interviewing. We'll get to you, Robin. But I think just to repeat, people know you as the president of the Residents Association, but not everybody knows the typical dinner conversation of where did you grow up, or what did you do before you came to Stonebridge? So this is your chance to repeat that, so
Okay,
that new people or old people who don't remember, everybody will know.
I'll give you a few quick words, certainly. I started life outside of Cleveland, Ohio, and then moved to Western New York State, Southwestern New York State at about 7th grade. And then after college, I moved to New Jersey with Peace Corps service in between
Right,
those
that's right.
events.
Yeah.
And worked in New Jersey as a labor arbitrator for many years, and then I continued to do that when I moved to Stonebridge.
Right.
So that's it in a nutshell.
So I think that labor negotiator is probably serving you well in your position here in Stonebridge.
I hope so. I can use all the help I can get here.
So Robin, we're going to ask you the same questions because I don't think we've really talked about how you got into this quote-unquote business, because you've been a part of Spring Point before you came here to Stonebridge, and then we'll talk about what you're going to do. But what's your story?
So I grew up not far from here. I've never lived 15 miles or more from where I was born. So I grew up in the New Brunswick area and have been here obviously my whole life. My first career was in technology. I was a...
No wonder you were the right person.
Pretty natural.
I worked for many companies, but the last of which, the last 20 years of that career were spent at the family of companies that were AT&T, Lucent, and then Avaya. And I was the director of special projects. So I got to travel all over the world and work 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, and be on call. I retired from that job, and we used to laugh, right? And when it came time for retirement, you know, the guys would go captain a fishing boat, or maybe work at Home Depot, or get something that was like stress-free and something that they loved. And I stayed home for about a year. My daughter had just had a baby, and she said to me, "I think you need to do something because you're driving me a little crazy." So I saw, by happenstance, a Facebook message for a opportunity for a part-time weekend position for Spring Point at their Monroe Village location. And from there, it's all history. I was in Monroe for a couple of years. I've been here at Stonebridge. It'll be 2 years almost to the day.
Yeah.
And then I'll be leaving to go to a new facility in Manalapan.
We'll talk about that a little bit more. You're probably wondering if there's a reason that we are on this lovely porch outside of, patio, I guess it is, outside of the pool. And I think maybe we should focus on one little thing in your new life here at Stonebridge, and that is that you learned how to be a lifeguard.
Boy, yes, I did. Yes, I did. As you know, the pool was shut down during COVID, and we thought, well, it would be a great time to do some repairs on the pool, so much needed upgrades to the pool area. So those were done, and we were getting ready to open the pool, and Jennifer was going for her recertification. And I kind of said, ha ha, funny, maybe I'll go with you. It would be cool for me to be able to do that, right?
Yeah.
When her and
Have
Kirk
it back
might be
up
out.
and so on. Yeah.
And so off I went with Jennifer to the lifeguard test. And I pleaded with the instructor, you know, to be kind to me, that I was a grandmother and I had just turned a very significant birthday. You can all guess what that was. And thank goodness for my friend Jennifer, because she was really very helpful while we were there, and I was able to get my certification. And
That meant you had to swim down in the pool and
I had to
retrieve
pick up the
something
brick and swim back and
yeah.
forth and jump in and save people. The hardest part was lifting myself up over the side. That was quite comical, and the whole class was like rooting me on. Yeah, so that was one of the things that I did, and you know, it was really it was great, because if go for it.
Yeah.
Go for it. And it was funny because I didn't like YouTube anything before I went. I mean, I decided on Wednesday to do this over the weekend, and I didn't look at anything because I knew if I looked at like what the test was online, I probably would have chickened out.
Yeah.
So I just kind of jumped in and did it, and it was awesome. So jump in and do things if you.
Well, I was going
you
to
want
say,
to.
I think that's probably what you've done in other ways here at Stonebridge.
It's a personality trait, I
Right,
think.
yeah, to jump in and do it.
That's the worst thing that can happen, right?
Yeah, so what are some of the things that you think of that really turned out to be your idea and you weren't sure that it was going to work, and it did?
Oh gosh, you know, the whole partnership that we've grown with the marketing team and activities, you know, it started out as a result of COVID, really, because we couldn't bring people into the building from a marketing and sales perspective, and we couldn't do activities with the residents in the building, so we decided that we would sort of pool our budgets together and bring residents and prospective residents together, and it was I mean, I think it's been really wonderful. We call them events, right? They're not activities or programs. We have these major events. It started last year at this time with the trunk and treat show that we had with the classic cars.
Yeah.
And next week, my last one that I'll be involved with will be the full festival, where we'll have vendors here selling things, and we'll have a band, and we'll have lunch and hot dogs and beer, and have a great day. So those programs are really fun for me to work with Brooke and Julie and the others to put together. But the thing that I think I'm most proud of is the residents. I don't know what it was like before I got here, obviously, but I'm so proud of the way the residents take pride in their community, and they come up with ideas, and I might enable a little bit here and there, but you know, the program committee and the library and the country store and this and all, you know, the other things, that the garden clubs and the greenhouse committee and the community gardens, the views from the bridge, and I'm sorry if I forgot anybody, because I love all of you, but it amazes me on how the community rises up, the bocce, everything. It makes my job very easy with residents that are so willing to be part of the community. It's really a beautiful thing.
Jeff, I think you'll probably agree with me on this. I think one of the most important things you did, and I wasn't a part of it, was the Olympic activity that brought together the staff and the residents, and it was one of those events where people said, wow, I learned a lot, and I had fun. So maybe having fun first gets people engaged, and then they learn. But how did you think of that one?
I think of a lot of the things on my commute, my drive. I guess it's just quiet in the car, and that's where my head goes. And that was like 2 weeks before, and there had been a lot of talk, you know, on TV about the Olympics and were they going to happen or weren't they going to happen. And then Spring Point's diversity initiatives were also, I guess, sitting on my mind. And I said, what a great way to show the diversity of the community, both staff and the residents, and bring everybody together for a big party and share in all of that. And so I came in, and you know, Brooke will tell you, I'll come in and I'll go, I have an idea. You know, and the first,
she goes, oh no, not again.
Yeah, the first resident I saw was Tony Glockler. They said, Tony, I have an idea. What do you think? And he looked at me and he goes, Robin, he said, you have come to us with all kinds of ideas, and I thought to myself, they're never going to work. And he goes, and that's what I think about this one right now, he said, but I'm gonna say go for it because I've always been wrong.
Right.
So we quickly, put out the survey and staff and residents got engaged and we got all of those artifacts together. It was beautiful. It was just beautiful. So you're
And
right.
it got good publicity too.
It did. It
It
did.
showed Stonebridge as a very vibrant place.
That's right.
It did.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun, but you know what? Without the community, working together and being interested
Right.
in doing those kinds of things, they wouldn't work. So
Right.
it's all of us.
Right.
It's all of us.
Well, you're going to leave us, and we're really sorry. But we want to send you off with lots of wishes of good luck because you're embarking on something that's also very interesting, and it's part of Spring Point. We all should be glad when the mother company is
Mothership.
doing this.
Yeah.
So tell us about what you're going to be doing.
So Spring Point at Manalapan is a brand new, it's not open yet, it's still under construction, although should be done very soon. Spring Point assisted living and memory care community. It's much smaller. It's 60 apartments. And I will be the Live Well program director there. As the Live Well program director, I'll be responsible for activities and events, much like we do here. The thing that really excites me about, but it's very different in
Yeah.
some
Oh, yeah.
aspects,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Here, my role has been, almost exclusively focused on independent living.
Right.
And there will be exclusively focused on memory care and assisted living. And I've told this story to a few of you, so I apologize if you've heard it before, but when I was a very late in life baby for my parents. And I have an older brother and sister that didn't live in the state. So when my father first fell ill and passed, my mom was here and I was here to take care of her, and she couldn't live independently. And in those days, there was nothing like this.
Yeah.
There was a nursing home.
Right.
That's what you had.
Yeah.
That were really your
Two beds in a
choices.
room. Yeah.
And I would take my children. I was a single mom, and my kids were like 5 and 8. And we would go every Sunday to visit mom, and every holiday to visit mom. And even though we loved my mother with all my heart, it was not a very pleasant experience. So when this opportunity came along, I thought long and hard because I love it here. I love all you guys. I really am going to miss you. And when I say I'm going to come back and visit, I mean it. But I thought about this and I said, this is an opportunity for me, and this might be my last one, right? To work in creative program where families and folks in those care situations, maybe I can make it a little bit better. Maybe I can put some programming in where families will look forward to the visits and we can do some things together. So that's really what I have in my mind.
Well, you've been also talking about the fact that you've been doing your research and looking at the latest kinds of medical research that's come up about what the role that activity, stimulus, and so on plays in people's lives.
Yeah, reminiscence therapy, and we'll have life stations, and I think my technology background helps me a little bit. And the staff there, the executive director at the new building is just wonderful. He's got a heart as big as Will Outdoors. So I think we'll work very well together, and I'm hoping that we'll be able to come up with some signature programs that might be able to be used in other communities like the new one at Manalapan. So I want to make it a place that is
How can we
home.
be sorry that we're losing her when we know that you've given so much here, you've stimulated that kind of creativity that I think will last of people thinking that they can do things.
I think that's true.
Yeah.
Certainly hope so.
Yeah. And then to go on and make a real contribution in our family place and care about people that we all care about too, or know so well. So we have to say thank you and how much we appreciate you and what you've done and how much fun you've been.
Absolutely.
Well, it's not over
correct.
yet. We have 3 weeks left. Put your seatbelts on.
Okay, we'll do
Okay.
that. All right. So this is the first getting to know you of the season, I think we're off to a really, really good start, even if it means saying goodbye to Robin. But thank you for being with us. And stay tuned, folks.